Let's get on with this. Let's do this. Welcome, guys. This is neuralmeld. I hope you like this little intro. This is courtesy of Gemini, but I will say from the get-go, I am not going to use the LLMs in this channel at all. The only thing we're going to be using LLMs for, or any kind of AI tools, is for, if I need to, do some kind of creative content generation, images, those kinds of things. So, neuralmeld Labs, what are we doing today? Today, we're going to do a project kickoff. We are going to be building a project from scratch using CPP. Now, a couple of things that you have to be aware of, right? My channel and my intention with this channel is to capture the development journey of different projects, right? So each series is going to have dedicated episodes to capture the progress, and all of the code that we put together here, we are going to be pushing publicly to a neuralmeld repo. So you can look at the description and check out all of the code that we're going to be coming up with or developing on the fly. This channel for me is so that I can learn. I want to learn C++, become proficient at it. So with that being said, my reasons for not using LLMs is because I want them as far away as possible from my C++. There's a lot of changes going on. This channel is not to capture or cover those changes. This channel is so that we capture the raw progression of developing from scratch without these kinds of tools. And I highly recommend anybody to do this, at least from the start, until you get comfortable with whatever language you're picking up, just because this cements that knowledge, that foundation, that technical foundation that I believe is crucial to be a good software engineer. Once you have that proficiency, that foundation, then I would say start integrating LLMs into your workflows. But for the most part, I'm picking up C++, and my approach to picking it up is doing it from scratch, turning to documentation like cppreference.com, or I was using learncpp.com. I highly recommend it. This one, I have it open, so I'm gonna be using C++ reference. I haven't actively used this at all. I've usually just gone to learncpp.com just because it's quick. If you go to the homepage, they have a couple different chapters covering a lot of the different concepts related to C++. And I've already gone through the introduction, some basics, functions and files, programs, some data types, and let's see, constants and strings. Actually skipped this one a bit. I know I shouldn't skip some, but my intention with this channel is to learn as I go. And why is this not dark mode? I don't want dark reader. This should, give me a second, dark mode. There we go. That was weird. Sorry guys, that was way too bright for my liking. Something was wrong and I knew it, but I just didn't clock it that it was not in dark mode. But like I said, my intention is to learn CPP from the get-go, from scratch. Probably gonna be doing C++ 20. I understand that there's different kinds of features that are new to each version that are of C++ that's released. I'm picking C++ 20 because it's, I don't know, I'm just picking C++ 20. We can figure out why or why not after the fact, but for the most part, I'm just gonna run with C++ 20. What are we building? Now that my little intro is out of the way, what we're gonna be building in this series is a 4X game engine, right? And in this game engine, I don't want anything complex. Right? I'm just learning C++, so what I don't want to do is take on a gigantic project, get too overwhelmed with the size of the project. I want this to be simple. I want this to be a fairly minimalistic 4X game engine, and the reason I had that 4X tab open is because I want to show you guys what the 4X game is. 4X game. Oh, dark mode does not look good with AI stuff. So let's just open this guy. So 4X stands for explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. So the games like your Civ, Sid Meier's Civ games, those kind of turn-based strategy games. Those are the kinds of games that I love playing. And this game engine is essentially the logic that runs every single turn for these games, right? So you start off and there's different things that happen through each turn. Maybe there's an economy, your little civilization gains capital, whatever the case is, and you have military units that you can use that capital to generate, and then those military units can move along the map, and they're essentially exploring the fog of war, and you're interacting with other civilizations, exterminates, because there's obviously there's wars. There's battles that happen between these different civilizations, and the idea is to expand, right? And you win by either supremacy, taking over the entire board. There's different, obviously every game is different. My intention is not to focus on the gaming. My intention is to focus on the development from scratch, C++, creating that hardware-aware software, right? So how do we build something from scratch? And here I have my VS Code window, just because VS Code is a bit simpler. I do use VS Code all the time. I'm not a 10x developer without the LLM side to be able to use Vim. No, that's just not me. I'm a simple guy. I have simple tastes. Just give me a tool so that I can create stuff with it. VS Code does that for me. It gives me everything that I need, at least for now. We can try out Vim later, but for now, we're going to stick with VS Code just because of its simplicity. And as you can see, I don't have any files here. I don't have a script that I'm going by when I'm developing these projects, so there's going to be a lot of mistakes. And if it's an egregious mistake, I'll probably just cut that little piece out in post-editing and then continue. But for the most part, the raw engineering will be captured during these series that I'm going to be producing. I don't know how long each project is going to take. I'm probably planning on releasing once a week. I'm going to try to release a video once a week, and every episode is going to pick off of where I left off previously. If I do come across something that throughout the week that I find could be useful integrating into the project, in the beginning of the episode, I'm going to make that clear that I came across this whatever concept, and then I'm going to explain why we should integrate it into the project. And then at the end of the episode, we can probably just push up to my public neuralmeld GitHub account. C++ best practices. How do we start a project, any project with C++? I have no idea. I'm starting from a noob position when it comes to C++. This Works game engine is, I don't even know what that looks like, right? But what I do know is that the turn-based logic, when the turn begins in one of these games, things happen, right? And some of these things that are going to happen are essentially the C++ logic, right? Because from my understanding, Godot, for example, has specific extensions or modules or whatever they're called, and it works well with C++. So you can build the game and logic and integrate it into the Godot engine. I don't know if I'm gonna get to that point where I'm actually creating the game and releasing it at the end of the project series, but my goal is to capture the C++ side of this. And we're gonna figure that out as we go. We're gonna figure that out. So the first step that I want to take is figure out what kind of architectural documentation I think would be useful to begin in the beginning. This is essentially a project kickoff, but this specific episode is to start capturing our roadmap. This is a roadmap that we're going to be following throughout the entire series to figure out what we have to do, what we have to build, how do we have to structure it, and think about it as we go. The first thing is figuring out what kind of documentation we have to create for this project, right? And I'm not going to create all kinds of documentation. My intention is to create just simple guiding documents, overall guiding documents that we can use here. And we're going to create requirements, right? This first let's first come up with requirements / overarching goals. Man, this is going to be a turn-based strategy game. All right, we are going to have. We're going to do an economy. Right, an economy, and this is going to be a simple economy with resources that each civilization or entity is going to have. So per turn, just like these games, your civilization is going to acquire resources, all right? And these resources, I'm thinking of doing some kind of capital, right? So gold or something like that. Jesus, I hate when that happens. So some kind of capital, like gold or some sort of like that. Maybe some oil, right? Because we're going to have military units, and this military is going to need something to move around the map. And then once you're done, when you finish your oil, you can't move any longer. A lot of these games that I've noticed that I've played can only move movements so many times, like once every turn or whatever the case is. I want oil. I'm thinking of oil being the constraining factor for movement, but honestly, I don't know the details yet, right? But I know that there's going to be two resources, gold and oil, whatever those are going to be. Now, there's going to be some military action, right? Or actually, let's do battle actions, just because what kind of civilization builder strategy game are you going to produce if it doesn't have battles, right? And something that I've always wanted when I'm playing these kinds of games, something that I really like about Civ, all right, the Civ series of Sid Meier's games, is the different military units, right? But obviously we're not going to create some kind of crazy visually stunning video game like that. We're going to just create the logic, at least for now. All right, if I'm brave enough, we can push all the way to Godot and release this game. That'll be a pretty cool result, cool end goal for this project. But for projects like this, right, little by little, chunk by chunk. So battle actions. Let's think about units. What I'm thinking about is essentially creating three kinds of units, right? You have the army, so soldiers. Army. So you're gonna have ground units. We're gonna have a navy, because we want what kind of civilization builder we have without navy units, right? And then obviously an air force, because I do have a background in the military from the Air Force. I'm an Air Force veteran. So we're gonna do Air Force units, units, Air Force units. So I swear, sometimes I feel like I'm dyslexic when it comes to typing in public. Whatever the case is, these are the two features that I'm thinking about as of right now. Turn-based strategy game. We're gonna have a simple economy. We're gonna have battle actions, and let's see, what else can we think about? So every turn, the user is going to acquire resources from its economy, and the economy should be based on how many. I don't know if we should call them states, based on how many states each civ has. We'll do question marks here because I'm not sure exactly how. Actually, this would be a good idea. Now that I think of it, it'll be fun to have civilizations, and the more states, provinces, or whatever you want to call them, territories they have, the more resources they acquire. So more territories, more resources equals more resources. question mark. And then if we want to really go into it and provide a little bit more strategy to the game, we can do something like each territory will have different resources, just how the Civ 5 does it. You have different little blocks have different kinds of resources it produces. So for these territories, each one would produce gold or oil or both. I don't know. We'll figure that out later on. But for the most part, this is what I'm thinking about as of right now. So the problem about building things from scratch is, one, I have no experience in game development, and actually that's not my intention with this channel, game development. My intention is C++. But for every project, you need to figure out what and how you're going to build it. So this is the what, essentially. This is just obviously a simple high-level start, because I don't know what else I'm going to need, right? Because I'm assuming that at the start of the game, even the start of the game, we're going to need some inputs and some kind of generator. Yeah, we're going to need some kind of generator to create the initial state, right? The initial game state. And this gets me thinking about the menu, because when you're in the menu before you start the game, you're selecting all your different options. That initial state is going to be pushed into the game, and actually you just gotta start the game. Like I said, I'm not familiar with that side of the things, but I am familiar with learning how to do things on the fly. So these are, as far as I can tell from my noob perspective, where I'm going for. Oh, and just to let you guys know, obviously I do not know what I'm doing. No idea what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go. So please be the judge. Use the comment section to grill me. Use it to tell me that I did something wrong, to tell me, oh, my approach is completely incorrect. My intention is to pick up best practices and become proficient in the public's eye. So please don't be afraid to grill me. That's the best way I think anybody can learn, just to have that guidance. So I'm being a little bit selfish there, and if you guys have something to say, please feel free to speak up. Okay, so back to the development. So this is the requirements, right? High level requirements. This is just word soup at this point, but it gives us an idea of what we're building, what we want to get to. So this is the what, the how we're going to build this. So I'm assuming we are going to need first a simple, I'm using CMake and I have GCC, so a simple CMake setup, make file. Let's figure out how to set up an initial make file for a project. Now I'm not C++ for a C++ project, for a CPP project. I'm not too familiar with make. I'm probably not too familiar. I'm not familiar at all. So this is AI telling me to do it this way. But like I said, I don't want to use LLMs for any of this, because that steals from my process of learning a language. So let's check out what this guy has going. I wanted to share an article I just wrote about creating a multi makefile template for projects. Okay, this seems like that might be a cool little start off point. Depending on specific ID, this article is for you to break your chains. Make file that adapts to your project like a chameleon, requiring only a few parameter tweaks to fit most of your needs. Gone are the days of wrestling, blah blah blah. If you have GNU Linux development, G++, we do have that. If you don't depend on any ID project configurations, I am doing this, right? So we're not using, well, at least I'm not using VS Code to produce any of these configurations. This guy has a make file at the top, While this structure may seem simple at first glance, it requires special treatment in our make file. One challenge is to detect all the sources files in this project accurately. Okay, so I kind of like this structure from the quick. Yeah, okay. What if we do this? Go back in here. We're gonna create a file. This is a make file, right? We are going to have a source code folder. This is where all the code is going to run into. I don't know about controllers because I don't know what that's gonna look like, at least for the 4X game engine. So we're going to do is just systems. And by systems, what I mean is the economy, right? For example, the economy. To handle the economy every turn, that's going to be essentially as a what's it called? It's going to be its own class component, right? And that's going to do its thing. It's going to see how many units, resources, all that good stuff, allocate, add things together, subtract things, movements, all that stuff. It's going to be a system on it, all of it on its own. So I'm just going to call this systems for now. If you guys think there's a better name for that, let me know. But for the most part, we'll do systems. Obviously defining the directory structure first, just to get us going. So inside of source, we're gonna do obviously your main and the header file. And just as a heads up, I have gone through learncpp.com's initial couple of chapters, like basics of C++. There are a lot of gaps in my knowledge still, so we'll do a header file, we'll do the main, and visuals. Should we do visuals? No, we don't need visuals right now. We'll start with this, and then we'll build as we go. I know that in here there's going to be different systems, right? So maybe there's a folder that's called the economy sys. The economy system, and then a quote would be economy. Battle sys. Battle system. That's going to handle all the battles between different units, which I think is going to be fun to code up. But at the start, I'm thinking of using this. So main CPP, right? What is main CPP going to look like? The idea with the main CPP and how this engine is going to eventually integrate into the game. The main CPP, I'm thinking of using this as a harness, right? Like a test harness to call the different functions that are going to run the economy logic, that are going to run the battle system logic. So we'll just include your typical hashtag IO stream just for now. I don't know what else we're going to be using, but for now we'll just keep this simple. And in this harness, right, this test harness, what I'm thinking about is for the initial state, right, we're going to generate the initial game state, right? And then after the initial game state is set up, there's going to be some kind of, I don't know, like a loop or something. Loop that could be time aware, time step aware, right? It's going to be time step aware. That will run the logic, different phases, the different phases of the turn, right? Because of the turn, these turns are going to have within the loop. It's going to have obviously a finance turn finance phase. So all the finances will be valued at the start of the turn so that you can do things after. And there's going to be I'm assuming a battle phase. And these are not going to be explicit. These are phases when you're probably putting the game together in Godot or whatever other engine. These phases can be it can show up differently in terms of look and feel. This is just the logic, right? How this game engine is going to handle each step. So we'll have a battle phase, and then most likely, so once all the turns are put in or inputted, are made, essentially all the decisions from the different phases, then we're going to have a resolve phase. And obviously this is not phases, this is just phase because they're individual phases within this larger time step loop. And then what I'm thinking about is, let's see, what am I thinking about? Yeah, the loop, it's going to be time step aware, or I don't know what to even call this, but I know things are going to happen within every turn. And then at the end of the turn, we'll resolve every decision that's made. No. You know what? No. We shouldn't resolve within the turn. The turn is going to happen. It's going to start. Finance phase, people make their decisions and then submit. And by people, I mean the different entities. They're going to submit the decisions, whether it's, I don't know, finance decisions, or economy decisions is probably a better word. Economy decisions. And this probably makes more sense if I do an economy phase, right? For this, yeah, okay. And then the battle phase, they're gonna submit their decisions. Oh, you know what? What about movement phase, right? Because I don't know if the movement phase would be the same as the battle phase. Because if we think about it, the battle phase, what's moving on the map? At least for this first iteration, I think it should be simple. The only things moving around the map are units. We'll just keep it within battle phase. And then if we need to add like a movement phase for the units to move around, then we can add that later on. For this loop, let me just do a quick, let me just comment, how do you do the block thing? Is it 2 stars? Yes. We'll do this so that we don't have to do the whole hashtag thing every line. Put this in here, we'll delete this guy, and then resolve phase. Oh, as I was saying, so the resolve phase should be outside of these different phases because they're going to be submitting their decisions. And then down here, we can probably do the resolve phase, right? Because if we do the resolve phase out here, then we have all of the decisions that all the entities made. All decisions made. And we can figure out how that logic is going to pan out in terms of what gets evaluated first and what doesn't. We can probably have some kind of round robin thing that kind of switches the priority between different entities every step, but whatever's fair, we can figure that out later. We'll resolve the decisions made. And then this is probably going to be triggered by some kind of submit function, I'm assuming, right? Because when you think about it, the turn-based game, you make all your decisions, you're moving units around, and then you click one button that says end turn or next turn or whatever the case is. You submit that and you click that button, and then it moves the turn to the next turn. So that's the idea with this resolve all decisions. There's going to be a submit function that will trigger the resolution, right? The resolution of all the decisions. So now that I mentioned that, the data structure, right? Data structure for the decisions, it's probably going to be some kind of queue question mark. We'll figure that out once we get to that point. But for the most part, this test harness is going to be fairly simple. Don't forget to return your let's see, return 0. Was it return 0? I think it's return 0. I don't remember. We'll figure that out in a bit. This is what I'm thinking, and I kind of deviated. Does this say in the GitHub how to run this? How to build the actual project? Example. Okay, so make file build include source. Oh, I like this setup too, because it has an all and has a build here. Make build. Example run. So let's do this. Let's copy this guy. We're gonna throw it into the make file. Go back all the way up here. Pedantic errors, build, program, source. Okay, so now let's see project. Where's build? Oh, build is here. And then wildcard. Oh, here, source. So we have a source folder. And then we're gonna have the different modules. And source, every CPP file is going to be included module 1. So inside of source we have systems instead of modules. So let's just modify this so that it is systems, and then main CPP will be included. Okay, I think this is a little bit better. It doesn't have the program stuff, which actually we can add if we wanted to. But for now, let's keep this like this, because this one has all the build setup to build the stuff and all that good shenanigans. So let's do this instead. And then for the outputs, let's just delete this guy because we're not going to need it since we changed the make file to use the one that project uses. And then let me copy these guys here. And we're going to add this to our README because we're going to be using obviously these commands, and they're simple commands. I'm not so worried about obviously having to go back to these, but it's good to have these there. We'll do make all. This will create the build folder. Yeah, this is more familiar with. I'm more familiar with this structure. I don't know about the D file. I don't even know what the D file is. Oh, it's just the path to the O and the CPP. Okay, program. So if I were to do a build program, build apps program. Oops. Program. Boom, hello from phase line 0. That's working. What I want to do here is go back to the make file and do the set up the program. So the target is going to be called phase line 0. Boom. Now let's get back to here. We'll call phase line 0 just to make sure that, oh, gotta build it. Make all phase line 0. Boom, hello from phase line 0. Let's go. Okay, so for myself, for learning, I am not familiar with makefile and make stuff at all, but I understand a little bit from the different levels of exposure I've had over the past couple of weeks to C++. What I've gone up until this point from the makefile and make is we're going to set up all the different compiler flags. These are the same flags that you use, I'm assuming, with GCC. From the command line, you do GCC dash whatever flags and then point it to the right CPP file and then the name of the program that you're building. We've set up the make file to build what's going to be our target, our harness, essentially our test harness that's going to eventually run all the different phases. And I've defined what I'm aiming for in terms of what we're going to be building throughout this series, and along the way we're going to be learning as we go, likely changing things. We're going to be thinking about data structures. What's the best paradigm to use, right? Because there's object-oriented, there's data-oriented, and I'm leaning a little bit more running towards the data-oriented design. That's how you develop performant software, to align it with how the memory structures are saved into the CPU so that you get less or more cache hits and less cache misses, right? We're gonna be thinking about all of that. Like I said, because if it's not obvious, I don't even remember if it's return 0 or return 1, right? And actually, let's figure that out just to finalize this video. Main function in CPP. Return 0. It was return 0. Nice. And the comments are /. Right, so first of all, thank you all for joining me today. My goal is to, like I said, it's build in public. I love doing this. I love to be wrong, because when I'm wrong, I know that I can improve. I have a significant amount of space for improvement. All right, so that is my cue that I'm on the right path in terms of learning and becoming proficient, is learning by fire, by trial by fire, essentially. For this episode, we set up the make file so that we can build our project. We set up the initial high level goals, requirements, what we're gonna be building. And then the last thing that we did was kind of structure the test harness that I'm thinking of using in the main CPP to run the turn-based strategy game. And then I actually ran a quick build so that we can run the test harness. But I think this is a good little start how I'm going to be approaching this project. So thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about this. I am looking forward to being wrong a lot, and looking forward to you guys telling me how wrong I am and how much of a noob I am with this whole CPP journey. So thank you guys for joining. This is neuralmeld.